I'm going to say a couple of words about GoWP before getting started. At GoWP, we create happiness for digital agencies and help them to become more profitable. So whether you're looking to grow your team with a developer, copywriter, designer, or project manager, or you're interested in outsourcing services so you can focus on growth, we've got you covered. Apart from that, we've also built an active community of more than 1,600 agency owners where we hold webinars like this, regular group calls. Every Friday, we do a group call called Happiness Hour, where we just talk about a topic and then open it up to struggles, challenges, celebrating wins, all that sort of stuff. And it's really a fantastic group of people. So I highly recommend, if you haven't joined us for one of those, please do. We'd love to see you there. And yeah, so if that's what GoWP is about, we're all about growing your agency, helping you to do that. And we're open to new ideas too. So if you're interested in learning more about how GoWP can help you grow your agency, I'm here to talk about it. You can reach out to me in the Facebook group. You can email me, emily@gowp.com. You can also check out our website, gowp.com, and all the different services and hiring and all of that we offer over there. And there's plenty of schedule a call buttons there, so you can get on a call with one of our account managers and figure out what works for your agency and at what stage you're at, and what outsourcing kind of looks like for you and how it fits into your business. So yeah, we'd love to partner with you to help you grow your agency. And if you're not a member of the Facebook community, we'd love to have you there as well. For those of you who are watching here in the Zoom room. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions about that. We'd love to talk. A few notes regarding the webinar. I will be watching the chat. So if you have questions, comments, anything like that, throw them in the chat. I'll get them to Noah so we can have them become part of the webinar and part of this recording. It makes it all the more useful for anybody watching later on. And it looks like everybody has found the chat and that's working. So that's fantastic. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to why we are here today, and that is Noah Britton. So Noah, since 2002, has owned Thrive Design, a website agency based in Seattle. He focuses on client acquisition while his team delivers the goods. He launched a course called Agency Xray in 2021 to help other agency owners take control of their client acquisition efforts and to focus their resources, land more deals, and save time and money. And I know we've had folks in this community already check out that course. So that's awesome after last week's webinar. And I've heard great things. It's a really fantastic course. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit more probably toward the end of this webinar. So stay tuned for that. And we also have a 30% discount from Noah. So he's been so generous to offer our community that too. So you'll get that discount code as well. So hey, Noah, how's it going?
Hey, hello. Good. Feeling great. I'm glad to be back. We talked about leads last week, and today is all about clients, because eventually those leads that we're handling sales with are going to become clients, and we need to track different kind of information. So yeah, I'd love to just continue the discussion around, what happens then? When do they become a client? What do we need to do with them to be more successful and profitable as far as our CRM goes? So yeah, I'm stoked.
Awesome. Yeah, let's jump right in. I'll go ahead and mute myself and hand it over to you. But if anyone has questions or anything like that, I'll bring them into the discussion.
Sweet. Okay, so as Emily mentioned, so I handle sales at Thrive. My team delivers on the goods. They do all the development and the design. And so my focus really is getting leads into my business, converting them into clients, and then making sure they're taken care of. And one of my keys to success is being organized. So when it comes to either leads or clients or understanding what's working or isn't working in my agency, I use a CRM to track all that data. And today we're going to be talking about clients. So clients come into our agency, and there's a number of things we need to do to make sure they're serviced properly. So today we're going to talk about leveraging your CRM to improve the profitability of your agency. I'm going to walk you through my system I've set up to do this. And if I do this webinar correctly, you're going to walk away with some fields and insights about your clients that you're going to be able to take big action on to make better decisions for your agency and increase your profitability. And we're going to break this into 4 main sections, because I want to show you, first of all, how improving your CRM is going to increase your care plan and hosting services. So maybe use Manage WP or Main WP, but where you actually store the details about your care plan clients, like their DNS, their registrar, many other fields like that. I want to show you a really simple way to do this to save time, because time is money, right? Second thing is we want to identify some revenue opportunities with your existing clients. So the easiest people to sell to are people that have already paid you money. So we're going to take a look at how to do that. And then we want to see what is and isn't working in our projects. Now, if we don't measure something, we can improve it. So we're going to be measuring a couple of things about our projects and then running some analytics on that. And then we need to learn what lead generation techniques are leading to the best clients. So I know that was a lot right there. Those are our 4 main objectives. I'll go through each 4 as this goes through. So what's not on the table for today, though, is discussing what the best CRM is. Because really the best tool is a tool that you use. Now, I happen to build my own CRM in Airtable, but you could use HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or Excel or many other tools to it. Today, we're going to be discussing what we should be storing about our clients, why we're storing it, and then how to analyze that information to make better business decisions for our agencies. And before we get started, though, I wanted to get a gauge of the room. Actually, I'm curious what y'all are using as well right now for managing your CRM. And maybe you don't have a CRM. Maybe you don't have a list of clients with their information, their website, and what projects they have and what the hourly rate is. And I'd be curious, anyone who put in what CRM are you using right now? I personally am using Airtable, a custom Airtable I've created. Is anybody on ActiveCampaign or HubSpot or any other tool like that? ActiveCampaign, Plutio, HubSpot, awesome. ActiveCampaign, I've heard really good things recently about ActiveCampaign. Big in, I don't know that one. That's good to know though. Perfect. So I have a little pop quiz for y'all. I like to get 2 numbers from you. And you can just put dashes between it. So 2 numbers, the number of clients you have, dash the number of those clients that are on some sort of recurring revenue product. Could be a care plan or hosting or an SEO campaign, something where it's guaranteed. So I'm going to write my number in here. So I have 60 clients and 59 of them are on some sort of a care plan. Oh, I love that people love that know their numbers here. Robert's got a ton of clients. Pretty round numbers there, Robert. 10 and 10, great. A lot of people with recurring revenue, I love it. A lot of us have received coaching over the years to have recurring revenue as a core part of our business. And it makes such a big difference. I mean, I know that was what brought me through COVID, was having that recurring revenue take us through those lean times. Okay, perfect, good. Yeah, glad to see these numbers. Thank you everyone for doing that. Okay, so I'm actually gonna get into the meat of this. I'm gonna open up Airtable here and I wanna get your gut reaction on something. Give me a second here. Okay, so I'm just gonna open this up and this may seem a little overwhelming, just this style of format. So I would like everyone to put in the chat how you feel about just seeing data in this format. Give me your feelings. Are you anxious? Are you excited? Are you intrigued, curious? Do you want to throw up? That would be my wife. My wife would want to throw up if I showed her this. Yes, Robert says yuck. Thank you, Robert. Overwhelmed? Yes. Overwhelmed? Yes, absolutely. Ooh, Kristen has seen it and have adapted. Ooh. Yeah, and part of it is it takes time to see data in this way. I'm going to show the data in just a little bit different way. So just imagine, see how many we have here. By the way, this is my data, but I've scrambled the names, I scrambled the services, the money they've paid me. I've scrambled all that information. But just imagine this is a list of 61 clients. I mean, this is a list of 61 clients, and we have their name of the company. We have their full name, when they became a client, et cetera. But there's another way to look at this data. So I'm going to pull this up. How does this look here? Pull this up here. AAA Plumbing, client name. It's a form, right? Full name, when they became a client, how they found me, right? Are we connected on LinkedIn? Does that make it any better, or is it still just like, oh man, this is bad news? I really want to get a gauge here. Just tell me how you feel, right? Their email address, their phone number, their website. Much better. Okay, great. Anybody else? That screen is better. Okay, good. Right, because when we see rows and columns, it looks like a spreadsheet, and until we really get used to looking at it, For some people, it's going to be jarring. For me, I love seeing data in this format because I can access it so quickly. I'm going to show you a couple things, and I'm going to try to go pretty slow here because I don't want to make anybody throw up here, the data. And I'm going to go through a number of these fields, and you're going to be able to see what field I'm on because I'm going to click the headings here. So again, 61 clients, and we have the name of the actual client, right? These are all the names of the companies, the name of the main contact for this company, when that company became a client of mine, how that company found me, what was the lead source. I'm going to go through a couple more of these. Am I connected with them on LinkedIn, right? It's just a drop down. Yes, I've requested it from them or et cetera. Are they in my email system, right? Are they in Drip? And then what scope they wanted. See, I start scrolling and people are gonna get sick. What scope they wanted from me, right? This client came in, they said, hey, I want a website. And then I built them a website. And then I put them on a care plan. Or maybe I did some photography or some SEO, et cetera. And I add all this information in there because I'm gonna use it later on. I'm gonna show you how I use this information later on. Do a gauge here. Yeah, Ben, it just takes practice seeing it in this way. And you're going to start to see the benefits of seeing the data like this very quickly. I'll show you in a second. So email, phone number, website, right? This is some basic stuff here. I imagine everyone is storing like name, email, phone number, website. They're storing the basics, right, in your CRM. And hopefully you're also saying what services they have, how they found you, when they became a client. Now, for my friends at GoWP Elevation, they taught me a 1 through 5 scoring of how compliant is this client, right? How well do they work with me and respect my process? Are they compliant with the way I do business? How good is their budget, 1 through 5? How much is their project a fit? So it looks like AAA Plumbing had a good budget, 5 out of 5, right here. Their compliance of my process, 4 out of 5, but their project was not a good fit. So they had a score of 10. There it is, 10 out of 15. I'm going to show you more reasons why we track this information because we could then see what lead sources are leading to the best clients, right? There's a lot of things we can do once we start storing this information. Only a couple more fields here. I got about 80 fields, so I'm going to show you a couple more. What team built the website? What category is this company in? Are they in the medical field? Are they in the financial field, et cetera? And then we'll take a look at what state they're in. Okay, just back up for 1 second here. Let's do a temperature gauge. So I'm curious for y'all, are you using CRMs in this way? I mean, a lot of these ActiveCampaign and HubSpot, they have fields like this where you can say, obviously what state they're in. I'm curious, how many of y'all are using your CRMs to this kind of an extent? And I went through about a third of the fields here. Okay, perfect. Robert does. Yep. So Ashton, I got a question for you. I would love to know what fields out of what I just showed you there, did any of those jump out? There's a bunch of fields we're going to go through, but did any of those jump out where you're like, ooh, I want to start tracking that information? And it's not just about tracking the information, it's about doing something with it. Is there some data that I've shown you so far that you want to track so you can make better decisions for your business? The rating. Login info, DNS, admin stuff. Perfect. Yeah, we'll get into that on the care plan section in just a second. Yeah, the rating is great. I have a rating when leads come in, I'll rate them and I'd be like, they get the same score for the leads: client, budget, respect, and project. Then they become a client, and then I'll go back in, a little bit later on after the project's done, and I'll re-rate them because there's the leads that come in, you feel they're a certain way, then the project really happens, and then et cetera. Now the star rating, you can then see, and I'll show you just in a second, you can see what lead generation sources led to the best types of clients or the most profit or the shortest projects. A lot of stuff we're going to take a look at. Let's get into our analytics here in a second. So let's go into the very first one. There's 4 things I said we're going to do today. And here's the first one: how improving your CRM is going to increase your care plan hosting and profitability. So let's learn how to do that. Just if we're storing some information, about our care plans, how is that going to lead to us having better profits? So I have a view here that just shows some of the information. It's called care plan servicing. And my team uses this view whenever they're going to do any care plan work, or whenever I want to know if I need to increase my care plan pricing. So you'll see here in Airtable, there's a lot of fields, right? There's 100 fields or so. But for this particular view, I'm only showing the fields about care plans. So for example, these are all people that are on my care plan. And I say who actually built the website, because maybe one day I get hit by a bus and somebody takes my role and they want to be like, well, who built Jigsy.com? And this would actually probably say like Adam or Nick or something like that. And as far as the details, I think Ashton, you asked about this, where we say where they're hosted, where their registrar is, where the DNS records are. My friends at the admin bar, they have a product called the Website Owner Manual. So I will mark off, have I sent them that Website Owner Manual and my W-9, which is for taxes. I'll mark where are they hosting? Where's their email hosting? Do I host them? Are they on a care plan? Are they set up and managed WP? A lot of fields here. Here we go. This is all about care plans. Do they have a custom WordPress dashboard set up? Am I using any kind of email service to help with the email deliverability of their website server? So we used to use SendGrid, then we migrated over to Postmark. And so we're now marking this. And like some of these you can see are red. Like it looks like Beltway Accounting. I don't have managed WP reporting set up. So my team knows anything that's in red, they're like, they got to do it. I'm not going to open 40 tickets for all my care plan. I'm just going to mark it in here. It's the master sheet that says, here's all the stuff that we need to do. And then we start getting the money. So this is all the care plan money that's coming in for hosting, for the care plan, for any SEO commission, right? Because I white labels SEO stuff. And there's a bunch of math here, and I can see here down at the very bottom, I'm not sure if you can see this, but it'll show the total amount of recurring revenue. And then maybe I'm adding some recurring revenue in the next month or so. This is like recurring projects that are just about to end. So I'll do that. And then a quick note here, am I cool with the recurring revenue? Maybe I'm not. I'm like, you know what? I'm not cool with that. And that then gives me a to-do list to figure out how much I'm going to increase it, et cetera. I'll say how I'm invoicing the clients and what kind of auto payment there is. Okay, so we talked about profitability. This is supposed to be how are we going to make more money on our care plan and servicing. So there's three things. So the first is by having all this information at our fingertips, we save time. I do fixed pricing for my care plans. So if my team gets things done faster, that's more profit. That's just a very simple way of seeing it. I also use it to figure out, do I need to increase my rate? So very quickly, I can go into here, be like, who are my cheapest clients? I can sort this field and I can see, there we go, ThoughtWorks. For some reason, I'm only charging ThoughtWorks $50 a month for a care plan. So it's just a very quickly way to identify basically who are the clients that either I need to let go of because they're too cheap, or I'll increase the rates and maybe I'll lose them, et cetera. But having visibility very quickly into recurring revenue is one way to do this. And then also, if we put them on recurring auto payments, like how we're invoicing them, et cetera, it's going to save us a little bit of time. But the third way is our turnaround times for doing any kind of care plan or support related activities are quicker because my team has information at their fingertips. If a website goes down, and they can just quickly go into here and get all the information about their DNS, where they're hosted, et cetera, without going to the various servers and checking all that out. So it's kind of indirect. It's our customers are happier with their care plan services because we're servicing them quicker and faster. So I'm going to pause there. That's the first thing we were going to talk about today, and ask y'all, how are you storing your care plan clients' information? I mean, sure, they may be in managed WP or main WP or whatever, but as far as their DNS, their Google Analytics, their Google Tag Manager access, how are you storing that information? Oh, LastPass, So we have Google Docs, text, Google Docs and Drive, 1Password. So here's a question. I want to see when they're in systems like that, here's what you can't do. You can't do something like this. I just grouped it. So I say, oh, I have 19 people on this server and 21 people on this server, right? When you have data in this kind of a format, you can group it, filter it, sort it, et cetera. See what I just did there? I literally just said, oh, here's all the hosting. It's all this hosted it, and I just grouped it. And it'll tell me this data in a little bit different of a format. And there it is, 19 on this server, et cetera. We could do the same thing with the registrar. Be like, all right, well, how much DNS do we actually have in our Cloudflare account? Well, there's 32. Or how many are happen to be on GoDaddy, et cetera. It may not be the most valuable information. I'll show you other times when I'm grouping this data, and it's going to like blow your mind of how useful it is. But when the data is in 1Password or text or Google Docs, it isn't as intelligent. We can't actually mine the data as effectively, especially if it's something like in a text document. Emily, any thoughts there? Emily, on the before I go to the next item for this care plan stuff?
Yeah, I think I love the engagement in the chat, and also I've been trying to bring over the comments made from the Facebook group as well. So people are coming up with all kinds of ideas here. I know I'm in the middle of a conversation with Kev over on Facebook because he saw your column about W9. He was like, "Oh, I hadn't heard of sending those out, to clients, that sort of thing." So that's bringing up a whole nother idea, and I mean, you're getting the wheels turning. I can see for lots of folks, so that's fantastic. And just seeing the different ways, the different solutions folks have for storing this information, and seeing how you have it all centralized in one place, even though the actual collateral might be in various places depending on security reasons and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and when it
really
becomes a to-do list, I mean, it becomes a to-do list too, right? Like the way I'm storing this data, and sometimes the way I just know what's missing. Like if I don't have a checkbox next to my W9, then I'm like, oh, I guess I better send the W9 so they can have my tax information to it. And really, like I built mine in Airtable because so much of my stuff is just very custom to me. And I always coach people that use whatever system it works for you, and use the fields that works for you. All of our businesses are a little bit different. So it's just good to have some sort of flexibility to customize it as you need.
Absolutely. And I think also, there's a balance to be made with planning for growth, right? So setting things up from the start that's scalable, but also not getting ahead of yourself. Use what works for you now, and as you outgrow that, then deal with it then. But it seems like you've taken those steps and as needed, and have created a great process for it as well.
Yeah, I just always say, like, just get started, right? Like even if you're storing 5 fields about your care plan information, just start there. You're going to be improving it no matter what you do. Andrew set me up with a softball here. Do you have an Airtable template to build off of? Andrew, I do, and for $160. So my agency Xray course does teach you, leads, clients, project profits, lead generation profits, all the analytics around that. It's a course that teaches you all these things, but also is the Airtable template that I use for my agency to manage all of this. And what you're seeing here today is a simpler version of that I'm using for the demonstration. So, hey, thanks, Andrew. We're ahead of the game here. Let me get to the second item we said we were going to talk about today. So how to identify revenue opportunities from your existing clients. Right? As I mentioned, the easiest people to sell to are people that you have already paid you money. So let me ungroup this. And let's take about how are we going to identify from our existing clients who the best people are to basically upsell. And the first thing we do is really right here within the care services view. So you have care plan clients, but some of them are on a cheaper plan. And so if you have full visibility into the pricing of that in a simple visual way, like I'll just show you. Because I'm showing the dollar amounts here, I can say, okay, this is the hosting, this is the care plan, right? This is the SEO. Then it adds it all up. These formulas and add it up. I can just see who do I really need to increase. So that's the first thing, is you can identify it just by simply the price that you're charging for your care plans. And the second thing is, some of my clients, I actually purchased from another agency that went out of business about 4 years ago. And I have this view here that I haven't set up properly. Looks like I lost the data from transferring this over. But the basic idea was there are some clients that had a really crappy website that is like 8 years old. And I wanted to mark, who are these clients that I want to send my 2021 portfolio to. So let's just go ahead and do it on the fly. I'm actually going to create a whole new column. And it's going to be called Send Portfolio. And it's going to be a checkbox. Okay, done. And so literally I could go through all these websites, and all the ones that are just like, oh, this website so like really needs some help, I can just check the boxes here. Checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. And say, okay, I'm going to send them a portfolio item. And even better than that is because I'm also storing what category people are in. Excuse me while I scroll this. See this general category? I'm actually going to group it by here. So as an example, I have 10 clients in the medical field and 8 that are consultants and 16 that are in the home services company. So what I could do is for any client that says, send portfolio, I could find out what their industry is and then find all the other clients I have that are in that same industry just very quickly and just send them that portfolio item. And as things go live and I create a case study, if there's somebody who has had some sort of an interest in the past about doing a new website, I use the data to be like, oh, well, they're home related and they have indicated they want a new website. I can have a new field here. It says has indicated want new website, right? Like the same thing. I just go here, insert left, and say says wants new website. I'm just showing you this because this is really how I work. Like as I identify possible opportunities, I'd be like, oh yeah, I could store a field for that. Bright Bean, they said they wanted a new website, so did Cats, and I'm going to just use that data down the road to present opportunities to them. Another thing we can do here is I have a view here that says, all right, show me all the data where they're a current client and they only have a care plan. All right, so these are basically my dead end clients, right? These are just ones where I inherited a website from a million years ago. They never want to do anything with it. They only have a care plan, and I can use this data to basically upsell them and be like, okay, look, there really is opportunities. I can run them through a My Web Audit, like using Cliff's My Web Audit tool, and then give them suggestions for what we could do for their website. Like this is all about using our data to see what opportunities can be found for our current clients. We can also look at a new view called Former Clients. Very simple view. It's literally where the current client checkbox is blank, right? These are all some of my old clients. I could reach out to old clients. Like maybe they moved on to another agency and I lost them, say, over 6 months ago, right? I could very easily do a filter. It says, show me all clients where when lost is greater than 6 months ago. And I can see what their website looks like now. Like maybe the new agency has totally turfed it up or whatever. Okay, so that's just a couple of ideas for how to find opportunities with with current clients for upsell opportunities. All right, we said we're going to do 4 things here today. Here's the 4th. How improving your CRM. Ooh, I did that one. Gain insights into what is and isn't working on your projects. Okay, this one's pretty big. And I'm going to give you a really high level here. So I have a view called project analysis, and all these views is just showing only a certain number of fields, right? And so the fields that we're looking at now are just the ones kind of about financials for these projects. So here's all of the, all right, let me do it one way. I'm going to filter the data where the scope is website. See how easy that is? And I'm also going to do it where, actually that's it. Only the ones where we built them a website. See how easy it was to filter that? So these are 42 clients that we've built a website for, and I want to know what is and isn't working for these projects. There's a couple things we can do. So let's first group it by the lead source, which, by the way, if you aren't like religiously asking your clients how they found you, a lot of your data is not going to be useful down the road. You really got to hammer home, and I'll show you why. Let me actually average these. Okay, so all I've done now is I grouped it by the lead source, and I've said, hey, website budget, give me the average. So for agency referrals, my average budget is around 10 grand, but people that came to me from Clutch, my average is 16 grand. So right there, I mean, there's not a ton of data here. It's only 3 projects here and 5 here. The more data you have, like the more records you have, the better your data is, more reliable it is. But you can see just based on your lead source, like Google Organic, for example, $16,000 average project. So we can see just by asking that one question, what lead sources is leading to the best projects just when it comes to money. Now, there's a lot more than money as far as our success. Let's take a look at a couple things here. So I'm also storing, let's see, that's a lot of financial stuff here, right? We can see our proposal, the website labor, our profit margin, right? Because it's not just about the money we charge for the top level number. That's a vanity number. I really don't care about that number. What I care about is the profit margin. If you're selling $5,000 websites, but you have a 60% profit margin, do that all day long for reals. Like, that's great. If you're charging $50,000 for a project and you have a 35% profit margin, like, I don't think that's going to work out for you. So again, it's about the profit margins that matter the most. But I'm also somewhere, oh yeah, and there's the hourly rate, right? What our hourly rate with clients, we can use that as an opportunity to increase it. Like, maybe some of these, there's one, $110. Why am I only charging 110 for this client hourly? Opportunity there to increase it. And I even has a to-do list. Should I increase the hourly? Let's say, yeah, let's do that, but not until 2021. And then once I've increased the hourly, obviously I'm just going to mark this as complete. It becomes a to-do list, and I'll just mark this as 125. Okay, now there's actually some fields where I'm also showing when the kickoff, when the project kicked off. This project start. And I'm also showing when the project ended. Project took, there we go. So I'm showing some other fields here because I want to show you that this data is a little bit old, so these numbers are going to look very, very long. But if we actually say when the project started, how much the contract said it should take, how much it actually took, and then any times the client delayed, we're going to put a number in there too. There's a formula that you can create that'll show how much on average did my project go over and under on delivery? And is there any variable based on the lead source, right? Or the type of client or any other kind of data? Like, if you don't measure something, like, you can't improve it. You can't see what is and isn't working. So even just measuring the very basics of, this is how long the contract said it would take, 10 weeks. It took us 14 weeks. The client delayed us by 2 weeks. So we actually went under by 2 weeks. So a lot of things we can do to get insights into that from the money, as well as the delivery time, as well as the team. I mean, check this out. Say we said, let's group it by the team. And we'll see which team, these could be people too, individual people, is leading to the best profit margins for our company. Okay, profit margin. 57% for team 2 and 59% for team 1, right? So we can just see very simply if we've tracked this data, and all I'm literally doing is copying and pasting the number for the project from my QuickBooks and manually putting in the number of weeks it took to finish a project. I mean, I only run 10, 12 of these projects a year. So, I mean, it takes me about 30 seconds to put in those two numbers. So the data does exist in 2 places, right? There'll be the QuickBooks number for the total project. It'll actually be in my invoicing software, but it's also here. But it's no big whoop for me. I'm just copying and pasting it one time per project. I'm doing that 12 times a year. All right, let's check the chat and see if anybody is hyperventilating or is completely checked out from this, because I only have one more thing to go through.
You've got Robert here, Noah, saying he's got lots of ideas of fields to add, taking lots of notes. So yeah, Andrew's still tracking.
And Nancy's still here too. Okay. So sometimes, you're talking into the void, and it's, yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's happening?
Yeah, let us know you're still listening. We've got Jay over on Facebook too. He says, it's off with the heads of team 1. 57% is just unacceptable. So
yeah, off with their heads. Okay, sweet. Excellent. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I got to get those words of affirmation here to make sure I'm still with it here. I'm going to do one last one here. Like I said, we're going to do 4. So we're going to learn what lead generation techniques have led to the best clients. And it's pretty easy to do this one. We can just let's go into our current clients. And, we talked about GoWP Elevation, my friends over there, Troy and them, taught me about the client scorecard, right? Compliance, budget, and project fit. There it is, right? Client scorecard. And the question is, which lead generation techniques are leading to the best clients? Well, let's go ahead and just group it by the lead source. Okay, group this. So for example, 12 of them came from Clutch. I'm going to go over here to that number, and we're going to show the average. Okay, here we go. So agency referrals scores a 9. Clutch, they score a 9. You see this here, right? The average, 9. Cold email scores an 8. Google Ads were 11. Google Maps were 10. Organic were 9. I'm actually not seeing much variance here, but I did randomize this data. So in my real world, it's like cold email is like a 4. Clutch is like a 12. Google's around a 10. But you could just see very quickly those numbers that come in. And there's actually much, much more than that. I mean, really, if you want to get into like what lead generation and client acquisition leads to the best profits, you go to this reporting tab, where it'll show the number of leads that came in from Google, 37, number of sales, total revenue, right? Profit per sale, cost per lead, cost per sale. If you want to know like what your best clients are, you can look at that cost per lead and cost per sale. Like sure, Clutch, average project, about 23 grand, and it cost on average $311 to get that client and $80 to get the lead, because not all leads turn to clients. So those are some real high level numbers. Right? If you know those numbers there, like you're kind of swimming in it, because you can adjust your lead generation efforts to whatever the cost per lead and cost per sale is, as long as they have a high customer scorecard, client scorecard. If you can find some sort of lead generation where your cost per sale is less than 10% of the revenue that's coming in, and you have a client scorecard of 12 or more, give me a call and I'll hire you. Okay, that's it. That's it. I mean, I got some other stuff I could rattle on about, but that's what we got here. Those are the 4 things that we said we're gonna talk about today.
I love it. I love it. It looks like the folks who tuned in today and were able to join us live are loving it as well, getting some really great ideas. And I liked to see how it really built on what you talked about last week too. I thought that was really cool to see that. For those folks who got to tune in last week to Noah's webinar or caught the recording, you'll also notice that. And if you didn't, we posted a link to it up at the top, and over on Facebook we linked to it as well. And I'll include it in the follow-up email. So if you're here in the Zoom room, you'll get that email with all the links, so everything will be easily accessible. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to put them in the chat. I know we had a few comments on Facebook I want to recognize, just because those weren't as visible to you, Noah, at the beginning. One thing Paul over on Facebook was mentioning, that, as an SEO agency, he needs to track access to Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager,
yep.
All of that sort of stuff as well. So it really depends on the services you're offering, and that differs for every person. So it was great to dig into how you're handling care plans, because that is something that, I expect the majority of folks here in this community are offering now. So that's a great thing to check out. And some of the basics that you collect for care plans are things you're going to have regardless if you're, servicing a website.
Yeah, I mean, if I was an SEO agency, I'd have something like a checkbox that says Google Analytic goals have been set up. I would say, is the Google Studio report set up? I would put the dollar amount for the recurring revenue from the SEO. I mean, it's so just like very specific, like you said, to the services we're offering. As long as you're able to analyze the data, like data collection is cool and nerdy, like for some people, but it's about taking that data and doing something with it to improve your agency. That's where the gold is. Like if you're not doing that, don't collect the data. Like unless it's making your life easier and allowing you to improve your agency, you have to get clear on what you want to improve and what measure of success is.
Absolutely. And I think, the other aspect of this is lead generation, right? We're talking about tracking leads and all of that. So if you're at the point now in your agency where you need to start generating more leads, or you're looking for that sort of thing. When you start those efforts is when you also want to have something like this in place, right? So you can track, you know, whether it's things like clutch or organic, or what it is bringing you the leads in. What are your you know, ins into the funnel, and what's it costing you per lead? You know, what are your conversion rates? All of that sort of stuff. So once you start putting your effort into lead generation and all of that, that's when this sort of work really pays off as well. I see Joanne saying, Kev over on the Facebook group is asking, do you charge accessibility in your care plans, or is that included in your labor cost to build the initial setup?
Oh man, right out of right wing here, left field, right wing, left field. I don't know, whatever it is. Man, I do not charge accessibility, but if I did, I would certainly track it in my CRM. I'd be like, accessibility done.
And I know that we've got quite a few accessibility niche agencies here in the community too. So if anyone is watching, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I would track like the level, right? There's all these different levels of accessibility. So I would absolutely be like, okay, this is the level they're accessible to. This is the date in which the accessibility started. Here's the link to the accessibility statement, right? Whatever it is, like I would definitely track the basics of that.
Awesome. Paul over on Facebook is also saying that he's going through Agency Xray right now, or when he went through Agency Xray, really helped him to see where he wasn't even trying to get leads from, which he's now rectifying. So he just started 2 clutch sponsorships for Q4. So that's really exciting. That's awesome.
Paul, I would love to know what lists you're on. I personally am on US web designers in Seattle. I always like to do a broad and then a location specific one. That's great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
That's really exciting. And on that same note, we've got Andrew here in the Zoom room asking for more information about the course. So Noah, tell us about the course and tell us about the awesome offer you've put together for this community as well.
Totally. So Agency Xray is broken up into 4 sections. It teaches you how to track your leads through a sales pipeline. And first of all, you got to figure out your pipeline as a process, right? So it helps you track your leads through your sales process. And the very first thing it helps you do is actually define your sales process. A lot of us think we have a sales process that's fixed, but once we start documenting it, we realize we're kind of loosey-goosey about it all. So the very first part of that course is about helping you keep your sales on track and track what's working, what isn't working. Second part is what we talked about today, which is identifying opportunities to your clients, keeping everything organized, all the good stuff we talked about today. And then part 3 is all about your projects. We go very deep into your project profitability and measuring that as success. And the 4th part is all about lead generation. So we did talk a little bit today about projects and your lead generation efforts, the analysis and the tweaking of that. But it is a course. It is also the template that I use in Airtable. And it actually does come with a free Airtable course as well, which is a standalone. You can actually go to my website, noahbritton.com, and there is a 4 email series course on Airtable. If you just want to get your feet wet on Airtable, I'm not married to Airtable. I mean, I am married to it. I love it. It's my mistress, but you could use any system that you want. I just happen to love Airtable. You could use even an off-the-shelf system like ActiveCampaign or a HubSpot that'll really get you started with their flow. But for me personally, I just needed something I could completely customize and see the data very, very quickly. As you can see, like going through those views, I can get to the data just so quickly. Yeah, and they just got $270 million of Series E funding, and they're a $5 billion company, so they're not going anywhere.
That's awesome. And I'm going to put the link here. There's the link to the Thrive card and the code. So Noah is offering a 30% discount to the GoWP community, which is the deepest discount you'll find on this course, which is so generous of him. So that's awesome. Thank you for that, Noah. And the code, I believe, is it just GoWP, or is there
oh, it's GoWP AXR, standing for Agency Xray. As you go to my homepage, noahbritton.com, you scroll down to free course Airtable 101 and click grab the free course just to get the course one. I got a link here from Andrew. Your free Airtable called action just has your homepage link. I don't know what that actually means. But if you go to homepage, or sorry, if you go to noahbritton.com, scroll down for the free course, or go to the /agency Xray for more details as well. I will send the link to the full details.
Awesome. And we will include these links in the follow-up email that I'll send out also. So you'll have the links there as well if you don't get a chance to grab them, or if you're watching this recording, we will share the links in the Facebook community over there also. So you should be able to find them one way or another. We'll make it as easy as possible.
Well, I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear some ridiculous questions. Like the more ridiculous, the better. Like hard questions. What you think are easy questions you don't want to ask.
We've got a question. What is Clutch? Tell us about Clutch.
Oh, okay, Clutch. Okay, so Clutch is like Yelp that doesn't suck in that the reviews are actually vetted by the people at Clutch. They call people to interview them or verify them via LinkedIn, and then actually Clutch writes the reviews. It takes all the data in from the clients, writes the reviews. They're totally verified. But it is a directory listing. So I have a challenge for all of y'all that don't know what Clutch is. Type in your service plus your city. So for me, it'd be Seattle Web Design. Type that into Google, and I bet you there's a Clutch listing in the top 5, as long as you're in the US and some other areas too. But I don't want to assume everybody's in the US. In fact, over like half of my agency Xray customers are not in the US. So I type in Seattle Web Design. I think I rank number 2, and I think Clutch ranks number 3. And it's a directory. It's a directory service that you can get onto for free, but also you can sponsor. Just like Robert's doing, I think, for $150 a month on 2 different lists.
Awesome. Yeah, and Paul also over on Facebook mentioned that too. So that's awesome.
I'm actually coming out with a course on that one too, a mini course on how to optimize your Clutch profile, because I've been doing that for 2 years now with Clutch, and I just turns out I have tons of knowledge about Clutch that a lot of people don't even know about, and it's my number 2 source of leads. It's my number 1 source of sales. So that $300 I spent a month there is very much worth it.
It's powerful. Yeah, I know we've got quite a few agency owners that have been mentioning Clutch more and more recently too. It's really catching on.
Yeah, they're reinvesting back into their own SEO. One of the competitors used to be UpCity, and then UpCity has just gone down, and their SEO, and Clutch is just way up.
Yeah. Another question: could you share a little bit about what you include in your care plans? What's your care plan setup look like?
Totally. Here, you know what? I'll do you one better here. I actually rank, I think it's funny, I rank like number 1 in the world for website care plan or WordPress care plan. And right here is what I include, just like that. So you can check out thrive.design/care plan. Don't steal my content, please, because I already bust people for that all the time because I rank so highly. But that's what I include. It's the hosting, the usual stuff you do in Manage WP, piggybacking up on top of my licenses, and then I actually do include Termageddon as well, because I have a founder deal with Hans there. So I have a whole Hans and Donata. I have a big plan there. So yeah, thrive.design is my agency, and you can just click on care plans, I think, in the footer, and see all the biz there.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's fantastic. No. Share the link in the chat as well.
So thank you.
That out. Great. Kev says Kinsta, sheesh. Money.
Yeah. Kinsta's great. I love Kinsta. Yeah, well, Kinsta actually is. I've worked a lot, Flywheel and WP Engine and all the things, but my really, Kinsta has been my number 1. If I could afford Pantheon, I'd do that one, but I can't with the reselling. But yeah, Kinsta's lovely.
Yep, and it's all about pricing too. I mean, you figure out what works for your services, what you're confident in, and you make your pricing work for that, right? And that's how it all shakes out in the end. I mean, we see that every day with folks who use us for delivery of maintenance and their care plans, and working with them to help them get their pricing right. Because I mean, so rarely does someone get started in this business with dreams of just maintaining websites all day, right? So, so
you know what I have dreams of? I have dreams of my team maintaining websites all day long, and I'm in the Bahamas. That's what I got.
Exactly. Yep. And that's exactly what GoWP was created for. So, that was our founding service, and that's what we enable folks to do. So I know our account managers have that conversation daily with agency owners about how they can, set up their pricing so that they're empowered to outsource that work, and they're not stuck at a computer desk or checking email alerts 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that sounds nice, because I still have some, if shit really hits the fan, Noah gets called. So I'd prefer that to be somebody else. So maybe one day I'll get there.
Absolutely. One question is, I use Flywheel. Do you think Kinsta has an advantage?
I do. I was on a big Flywheel plan for at least a year. Kinsta in two ways. So Kinsta's performance and their support. Those are the two advantages that Kinsta has over Flywheel. Actually, and now Kinsta has this crazy integration with Cloudflare that they started implementing about a month ago, that even does even better with the caching and security. Yeah, and they're just two levels, right? Like, yeah, two different companies.
Awesome. Great. I don't see any other questions. We did have a question asking for the link to Clutch, which we already took care of. So thanks for that, Kev. And I'm just checking to make sure I'm not missing any other questions over on Facebook.
Emily, what's your favorite kind of sandwich?
Oh man, I mean, BLT is what came to mind.
All right, I'm thinking tuna sandwich here. Tuna sandwich.
Tuna sandwich, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one.
Give us some no hard questions. A hot dog. Hot dog. Is that a sandwich? It's got bread. It's got meat. It is not.
Right? She wanted to mix the pot. Classic Joanne.
Good one.
That's funny. I mean, that's a valid conversation to have, though. I think the argument can be made for the hot dog being a sandwich. What else is it? Is it's in its own field completely?
Yeah, I could take it. I could take it. Oh, we got one from Lori. If we're just starting out with Clutch, would you recommend becoming a sponsor? I would not. I would focus on getting reviews. Reviews can get you pretty high ranking by themselves, because depending on your local market. So Google your service and your location. Find out the list that it corresponds, San Diego web designers or San Diego SEO, or wherever you happen to be. Look at the number of ones that are sponsored, and then look at the ones just below it. And if you can have as many reviews as that one, you'll automatically be there. So it all depends on the list itself. But if you're just starting out, no, because whenever I go to a list that says 47 reviews and 23 reviews and 12 reviews and like 0 reviews, but they're sponsored, I'm like, nah, money grab. Not doing it. That was a great question, Lori.
That's a really good question.
And I salute you.
And I know that we also, we worked with, one agency comes to mind that we've worked with that has a bunch of Clutch reviews, and they've been using the GoWP case study service to create case studies from those reviews. So repurposing those reviews for new content and lead gen on their site. So that's another way we've seen.
Ooh, Emily, you're gonna have to send me that service, please.
Oh yeah,
I would love to see that for my agency. Thank you.
Link here. Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Another question from Kev over on Facebook is, do you game? That looks like a gaming chair.
I do game. I do. I play Awesome Knots and was it Kingmaker? Just came up with the extension. Yeah, I game. What can I say? Monster Train. I play that. I play weird games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I cannot partake in. I've got nothing to contribute to this conversation because I don't.
Do you have an addictive personality or something, Emily? Why don't you don't? Is it because you don't? You're like, I won't get into gaming because it's lame.
I don't know. I've just never gotten into I've tried. Like I've tried the light stuff. Candy Crush, the gateway games, and
the light stuff. First one's free.
It never pulls me in any deeper. Maybe it's something about how my mind works that I've just not gotten hooked on it. Kev does say that that's what he does for web owner breaks to relax. So I get that.
Yeah, I just zone out. I don't really watch much TV, but I just zone out on games.
Yeah.
Andrew's got one. Do you have any content or advice on growing internal team? About to hire our first designer aside from myself, and really, oh man, I tell you, hiring is not my area. I'm very lucky in that I have two really good members of my team, but it has been a major pain in my booty, doing Upwork and other services like that. I'd say talk to Emily.
I was going to say we've got an account manager right now who spends all of his day talking to agency owners about hiring and not just using GoWP services either, but what's the right fit for you, and they have a lot of experience with that. So Andrew, if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to set you up with Michael, who can have that conversation with you and give you some great insights. Obviously, when it comes to our developer, copywriter, designer services, those sorts of things. But if that doesn't seem like the right fit, how we go about hiring, because that really is the pain point, is having a process for hiring and being able to find the right people. So we're happy to share that information and have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, because it kind of boiled down to some main things. It's like either you're trying to get more leads, or you're trying to actually get sales from those leads, or you're then trying to service the actual product. There's probably some other big ones in there, but I focus on getting the leads and closing those sales. That's my job at Thrive. And then thankfully I have some really great people on my team that do the delivery. But I have struggled with that. So Emily, I applaud you for having that kind of, for your team having that knowledge and being able to help people do that, because the struggle is real.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been what GoWP's been charged with, is doing the grunt work that it's hard and not necessarily profitable, right? But it's necessary for growth for agencies. So we're happy to take on those pain points and take care of them for the agency owners and help them to grow. So we're all about that. Absolutely. Look forward to hearing from you, Andrew. That's great.
Yeah.
Ben says, does this Xray thingy have a Supercharge confabulator that super boosts revenue? That is a feature. I think I saw that listed.
I've thought about doing coaching. No, I don't know if it has I don't know if it does. It has the keys to measuring what works for your particular agency, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is you and your ability to follow through, track, make decisions, like take imperfect action. In itself, it's just a system that can help you see the insights, but you got to track it, you got to analyze it, and you got to make those decisions yourself. Yeah. Unless you hire a coach who can then, help you from that. I know.
And I would say if you're not ready to hire a coach either, I know we do weekly calls on Fridays, and those are
I love those.
Great resources. If you're not ready to, invest in a full-time coach and that sort of thing, we've got folks like Chris Lemma, Jennifer Bourne, great people on that call who are giving their advice freely every Friday. And all you have to do is ask the question, and it's amazing. So I would recommend.
It's a great resource. Yeah. There. Please show up. It's a great resource.
Very cool. Let's see. Kevin over on NAO says, how much did you customize the WOM? So the website owner's manual from the admin bar. And was it just the info or the design overall? What was your
I did both. Yeah, I did the design, but I did actually add some additional fields to it. And I changed the FAQs a little bit too, just to season to taste. But overall, it was pretty just close. I mean, what a great product that was. I mean, when it first came out,
so simple, it's genius. Yeah.
No, I'm kicking myself. So good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it is, we're over 1:30 now, so we're past our time. I want to respect your time, Noah, and everybody here who joined us today. So thank you, Noah, for your time. Thank you for sharing all of your experience, your knowledge, what you've done, and how you're growing your agency and putting that in a consumable form for other agency owners to grow their businesses. So thank you for that. Thank you for the generous discount you're offering our community. And thank you to everyone who tuned in and participated. This has been so much fun, such great questions, and a really great hours spent with you all today. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Joanna, enjoy your hot dog for lunch, your sandwich.
So hot dog sandwich. All right, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.